True homestead 6 hours middle. Not about homestead, but it is directly affecting homestead, and germane to what is occurring here. And needs to be part of the discussion. Being more moderate than most on this topic, it is understand in today's reality when the good cops stand against the bad cops they lose, period. This is cult-like. While those who are corrupt hate me for what I do, they hate those behind the badge who refuse to back the crimes of the blue line exponentially more. Some seem to think the thin blue line should be as wider than the Mississippi, deeper than the Marianas Trench, and higher than Mount Everest. The closest comparison I can think of comparing how officers who cross this line are treated, is how Muslims in Islamic countries are treated when they leave the faith. We can show story after story of such officers crossing the line to uphold the law being destroyed. No, it is not all officers, or even all departments, but it is occurring all across the nation, every minute of every day. When will we say enough is enough to those who abuse their oath to serve and protect? Where many see the Confederate flag to be a symbol of discrimination and oppression. Others are coming to the same view of the thin blue line flag. This should deeply concern us all. Yet it seems to be only the law enforcement community that is unwilling and incapable of coming to the table, refusing to acknowledge any culpability in their part for the current climate. That is why the anger grows. When there is no trust between law enforcement and those they serve, it makes it more dangerous for the community and law enforcement alike. We all lose. I must admit oftentimes the sight of a thin blue line flag makes me recoil, for the corruption implied in and of itself by the phrase thin blue line. Understanding it has different connotations to different people. And there are many noble servants, to which it is a symbol of deep pride. This is no different than the controversy with the stars and bars. While we are on flags, my personal favorite is the Gadsden flag for the symbology it represents historically going back to Ben Franklin. The rattlesnake means no harms and loudly warns against molestation, but when stepped on it will defend itself quicker than the human eye can blink. Being a believer in freedom of expression, I would never call for the ban of either flag, nor would I lose sleep over people not saluting a flag. We must stop being so easily offended and demanding the rights of others to be taken away, because soon your rights will be taken too. Not that cooperation, brotherhood, and having each other's back is not to be valued, especially in law enforcement. But that is different than knowingly falsifying arrest reports, and committing a form of perjury so perverse it is known as testifying, and other abuses for which the common man has no true redress. Preventing accountability and perverting justice. We were meant to be a nation of laws, never a nation of men. We wrote equal protection into our highest laws. Does this mean nothing anymore? When an us versus them mentality is formed based on being part of a group, whatever it is, and not individual actions, we are doomed to never find peaceful solutions. We want officers to patrol our communities and help keep our communities safe, and we understand the occasional bad apple cannot be prevented. But why are the bad apples so rarely removed? Why are the bad apples protected at all cost? Therein lies the elephant in the room that no one dares to address. If the good cops cannot stop the bad cops, why are those who selflessly do the job they should be doing mocked, ridiculed, slandered, shunned and or persecuted/prosecuted? Should we not be holding people who volunteer to make such tremendous sacrifices on our behalf out as examples for what humanity should strive for? If we fail to protect them as well as the good cops, they will become extinct, to the detriment of all. Why is the current narrative coming from law enforcement representatives and their sycophants more appropriate to a time when we had the king's men? If we do not begin a dialogue in this nation, more and exponentially greater tragedies will continue to befall us. And nothing will stop it. It is hoped and prayed that the profession of law enforcement will begin to work with us, and stop working against us. They beg for cooperation and quarter yet give no similar consideration. If they cannot help, then respectfully, they should at least stay out of the way while we clean up their messes for them. Remember, we all have families. One day it will be your children or grandchildren that will suffer the damage. If this trend to cover up everything, and silence the righteous, the name of evil continues. That is all it takes for evil to prosper, that is that men of conscience remain silent. We are all one people of one blood, and better start acting like it, or we will sink together. Please pray with me for this nation. Eric McDonough, also known as Doc Justice. What is the cost of the code of silence? A good reputation can be difficult for a police officer to develop, but extremely easy to lose. September 22, 2016. By John F. Hine and John Franklin. Since the latter part of the 20th century, the law enforcement profession has seen many changes in hiring, training, safety equipment, communications, and several technological advances. Officers are more educated, better trained and better equipped. This evolution should be celebrated, but there is still work to be done. Officers must understand that protecting offending officers at almost all costs, known by many as the code of silence, must be eliminated. The cost of the code can destroy the career of an otherwise competent and involved officer. Lessons from Chicago. In October 2014, Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke shot and killed Laquan McDonald, an errant teenager reportedly under the influence of illegal drugs while carrying a knife. Van Dyke and other on-scene officers filed reports indicating McDonald was a threat to them. A Chicago police detective, who conducted an official investigation of the shooting, filed reports justifying the good shoot. The report was approved by several supervisors up the chain of command, from a sergeant through a lieutenant to a commander. This shooting was controversial from the beginning for many reasons. The victim was shot by one officer 16 times. A dashcam video of the shooting was withheld for over a year during the re-election campaign of Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. After community outcry and a federal court order, the video was released. It showed a different story than what was told by on-scene officers. The video appeared to show many of the shots were fired while the victim was lying on the ground facing away from Van Dyke. No other officer on the scene fired a shot. The video also seemed to contradict officer reports that McDonald lunged threateningly in the officer's direction. The county prosecutor waited over 1 year to take any action. Chicago Police Superintendent Jerry F. McCarthy was fired for what appeared to be political maneuvers by others over whom McCarthy had no control. In addition, because of this case and other suspected violations, the U.S. Department of Justice is currently investigating whether Chicago police have persistently violated the rights of citizens. Although not yet made public, a recently released report by the City of Chicago Office of Inspector General substantiates the dashcam video, contradicts on-scene reports and recommends the firing of numerous officers. Since the release of the video, Van Dyke has been charged with murder. Since the release of the Inspector General report, the new police superintendent has recommended 7 officers be fired. A lieutenant and a commander, who adjudicated the shooting 1 day after it occurred, have both retired. Blue wall of silence. The two most important things that need constant attention and vigilance while enforcing the law and maintaining order is to protect yourself and your partner. But in some circumstances, your own reputation, livelihood and family welfare become more important than your partner's well-being. A good reputation can be difficult to develop, but extremely easy to lose. Frequent training and a more intensive understanding of society, along with better trained and more engaged supervisors, can help protect officers. The code does not. The cost of the code is too high.